Hi everyone, thank you for joining me. This is Living Divinity. So, I know a lot of my videos are of my past. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because I'm leading up to today, which is how I was able to turn my life around. Now, you've heard some of the miracles when I sat up in my bed and said, God, I'm ready to take the leap of faith. It has to come from your inner soul. It has to be something you really want. If you've spent years of chaos in your life and you just want peace, it has to do with your mind, body, and soul. And when you reach out to God and you just talk to Him like He's right in front of you, because in spirit He is, you tell Him what you're going through. He already knows, but you just tell Him anyways, to talk about it, to get it off your chest, is a relief in itself. And you'll begin to take these little baby steps in changing your life. Now, there are those who are speaking from their heart, and God's listening to them. And once God gives them the things that they need, that they're asking for, they forget about them. They go back to living the worldly way of life. No, that's pretty much turning your back on God. And everybody has their own journey, and people have done that because they still have lessons to learn. And we all have lessons to learn every day. You know, just because I tell you I'm a spiritual person and I believe in God and God's with me, I still have to, I still have to have that self-love and that self-respect. And so that way I can mutually give it back. And I have still learning patience. I haven't got to that point where I'm not in the exact right place, but it's a work in progress. So when I started talking to God and He started to reveal, I've seen pictures in clouds. I've listened to music that made me think about God, think about my life. I started finding so much beauty in my life. Being thankful for all the little things. And it is a true blessing for me to be on this platform to talk to all of you as if you're right in front of me, because energetically you are. Whether you see this video in an hour or 2 days, energetically we are all connected. Now, to get out of this chaos way of life, you have to realize that it really isn't a good life to struggle, to fight every day, to have certain material things, to do whatever you think will get you more money, whether it's right or wrong. That's the big thing is, for example, since I've been home, I have a lot of karmic family members, and I was one too. I would battle with people, and I would go tit for tat, and I would walk around with just being angry inside. I did that for many years, but God has changed my life. Being loyal to God, being loyal to myself, looking at myself in a different light, looking at my life in a different light. So, as I'm making the change, I realize that I have to hold myself at a certain place, because my body, my vessel, my home has to come first. I have to protect everything about me as I'm going through this process, because I don't want to go back. I want to move forward, and I want to do this platform, and I want it to be successful, and I want to say things to help other people. So God took me and He brought me here, and I had to experience my family again after 40-something years. And some of them I thought were really kind, and it turned out they really weren't. They wear a mask. They're kind to people when people are willing to help them. And they say kind words like, "Stop over anytime. We'd love to spend time with you." And you do, and then they look at you like, "Are you here again today?" Those are false words that were said. They should never have said those words. Why open the door when you're going to slam the door in their face? Because you tell them to stop by anytime, and you do, and it's a problem. I did work for my uncle, and he helped bury my brother Michael. And all it took was, because he was ex-military, was $1,000 for a cremation. I think my siblings were, when I called to ask them or talk to them about it, they just thought that it was that one person that was going to give it all. And hold on one second, please. And if we would all pitched in like 125, we could have got it done. But they wouldn't even hear me when I asked about it. So I called my mom's only sibling, my uncle, and I told him what happened. And then he called my Uncle Joe, who is my mom's younger sister's husband, and he paid it all. So when I got back here, I did work for him. I did remodels on Oahu for 10 years, plus or minus. So I said, whatever you want done, I'll just do it in payment of burying my brother. And even then, for me to give freely, his own daughter harassed me, why are you doing this? Why are you doing it for nothing? And I said, I'm repaying your dad for helping bury my brother. It's a debt that I didn't want my family to hold on to. I wanted to repay it. And in front of me, she gave her dad $100. And she said, and he was confused. He's like, why are you giving this to me? And she said, oh, because, my son comes here every night to eat, and I feel like I should pitch in. Well, she's lived with him for 30 years, and it was as if that was the first time she ever gave. I don't know, but it was just kind of weird how she was trying to stop me from paying a debt to give back. It was apparent that she wasn't given anything, and that even happened with my oldest sister. I stayed with my oldest sister, and I helped any way I could. And my other sister was mad because I was doing that, and it turned out she wasn't helping at all. And my other sister that stayed there was battling with me over it. And I had to say, I don't know what your arrangements were with our oldest sister, but this is what I'm doing. I'm pitching in to help because she's putting a roof over my head. So you see, when you do good, people don't, it's like they have to look at themselves. They have to look at themselves and say, oh, I've been taking advantage all this time, and here comes Marcia, and she's trying to help, and it's making me look bad. I'm not trying to make anybody look bad. I'm trying to fulfill my family's debts so they're paid in full. So even when you're going through the process of trying to rebuild your life, trying to stand next to God, you still have obstacles. You still have people trying to make you be like them. I've had people say they kick homeless off their property. And I'm like, oh my God. It's like, this is your own business. You could do what you want, but Grandpa would never do that to anybody. And you guys live the way you want to live, but I want no parts of this. So, I do a lot of paintings and stuff, and I've given this family like 15 or 20 paintings. And now that I walked away from them, they say, oh, she's done using us, so I guess she's moving on. When in fact, I paid my brother's debt. And I saw who they really were. And I left them better than how I found them. And my paintings have gotten $100 each. So they're ahead. At least, if you marked it down to $50, at least $1,000 they're ahead. But I don't speak to them, and I have to keep my peace. I'm not going to battle with them. I'm not going to try to change them. I'd rather just be alone. And being alone is part of my journey. It's part of God wanting to be there for me. That I rely on God. I don't ask them for anything. I don't ask anybody for anything. I pray to God, and the little miracles come to me. And I could never take advantage of anybody. Like I said, when I first moved back, I went through this process where, it happened so that I saw who some of my family members were, and I refused to spend any time with them, because then I get sucked into their intentions upon me, or my life, or what I'm doing, or how I'm living. so I just stay away. But I did find this kind old lady, and she was old enough to almost be my mother. I think she was born in 38 and my mom was born in 30. But she was just a sweet little lady. And I started spending afternoons with her, and then, she'd heat up a pot of coffee and we'd have a couple of cookies and we would talk about different things, and I'd kind of help her around the house. And then she wanted me to ride with her to pick her son up. And every day she was stopping to go through some fast food place. I mean, we would get out of the car and go in, but she would never allow me to pay. And I think I went with her 3 or 4 times. And then after that, I just told her that, I'm relocating soon, and there's no sense in having this attachment. And we really both enjoyed each other's company. But I told her, I said, I don't like taking money from old people. I don't like, even if I had money, there were times where I could have paid for myself, but she insisted. And I didn't want to upset her, but I told her, I said, I can't take money from old people because it's not right. She's like, well, I'm just trying to repay you for what you've done. Help me around the house. I said, no, that's not why I was coming around. I really enjoyed your company and I didn't mind helping you. That's what friends do. But, so I had to break off from her, even though she was like a happy lady to be around. She started needing me. She started depending on me, like, she had a couple grandkids that they both started working, so they were never home. And then the husband and wife did their thing, which is her son and his wife. And I just couldn't be there because she was relying on me. She was becoming attached. And for me to continue to be friends with her and then building this relationship and having her cry when I left the house, and she would tell me she's going to be lonely because I'm leaving. I told her, I said, you need to embrace your grandkids and embrace your family and make memories, because one day God's going to call you. Spend more time, make memories with your family and spend time with them. They're the most important. So that's when I cut it off. But what I'm saying about being attached to God, I post a lot of things about God, and I'm not perfect. Sometimes I might post some things that I'm going through that's probably a little bit negative or whatever, but it lets people know that I'm human and that I'm not fake, and this is the real me. And the journey is, once you give your heart, your mind, body, and soul to God, it's hard to stop worrying, but the fact is, if you pray, then you got to let the worry go. But God has come through for me so many times that it's hard to ignore. It's hard to ignore when I open up my wallet and I see I only have $6 to last me 8 days. What am I going to need within those 8 days that $6 is not going to cover? And a day might go by, maybe 3 days, and my oldest brother would call me and say, you need money? And I'd say yes, and he would send me money. I never called him and asked him. It's my ancestors that spoke to him. Said, your little sister needs help. Give her a call. So prayers work. And, I had to pray to God that all those people that I hurt, and, some people I hurt unknowingly, I don't know. But I had to pray, God, whoever I hurt, please forgive me. And if I knew who I hurt specifically, God, I'm sorry that, I didn't fight hard enough for my daughter. I was scared to fight, and I was scared that it would cause more pain on her if I fought. And I lost her for that, for not fighting hard enough. And things happened that would have helped. The judge said if your name would have been on the house, then my daughter would have definitely come to me. And my second husband offered to put my name on early on, and that was probably my ancestors or his ancestors talking to him to help me along, but it just scared me because it came out of the blue. And I refused it, but wasn't thinking about court and everything. Like, I don't know why, but in the end, my daughter, she spent the senior year with me, and then we separated because she had to go to college. She was supposed to go to college in Vegas, which never happened. She ended up having to move back to Delaware with her father, and we lost connection. And so finally, I reached out to her, and we've been talking. And I told her, I said, the one uptick about me leaving you behind was you got to know your grandma. Because you had 2 grandmas, but you only had one that was alive. So through her losing me, she got real close with her grandma. And I just wanted my daughter to know her grandma. So I sacrificed my life with her for that. And it was worth it because she's been able to balance her life. She's been able to find the right guy, put up the right boundaries. She's done way better than I did. And I'm so proud of her. And we always loved each other from a distance. And that never stopped. But I'm so glad that God has brought her back into my life. And talking about God and, feeling God's presence, it's truly peaceful. And to know that He's protected me. To know that, people who have hurt me in the past, it's God's divine timing if they haven't asked for forgiveness, if they want to pretend like it happened a different way, if they want to tell lies and tell their story in a twisted manner, that's between them and God. I tell God, I want to ask for forgiveness, God, for whoever I hurt, and those that I'm specific about, then I try to be specific. But being on the path for the glory of God. That's all that really matters. All this worldly stuff, you can put it in your coffin when you die, but you don't really take it with you because your spirit leaves your body. Your spirit really needs to be all that matters. So you just learn to pray. God, help me through this. I will try to listen to your words. I will try to use my intuition, my intellect to connect with you, Lord. Just guide me out of this chaos, and I will go wherever you tell me to go. I will do whatever you tell me to do. And believe me, God has tested me. God has tested me. Sometimes I lay there silent, and I don't do that much that day. But something big happens somewhere else that, maybe I was invited to a get together, and I decided to stay home. And then I find out that they had other intentions. So God, I tell people, if you're coming to me with the wrong intentions, you're not going to get past God. He won't even let you get to my front door. And I'll tell you something a little crazy is when I first moved in, there's 2 palm trees that were planted. And if you can imagine 4 little houses on one little plot of land, there's 2 houses that face the street, and then the 2 houses behind them face each other. And there's 2 palm trees. And one of the owners had to stop by to make a repair. And he's like, it's funny, we planted these trees, however many, 20 years ago when we bought the property. And he's like, that tree, and it was the tree on the left, if you were on my front stoop, that tree outgrew the other tree. The one tree on the left was on the other 2, where the other 2 houses sat. And the one on the right was between my house and the house that faced the street. He says, that tree on the left, it outgrew the one on the right, and we planted them at the same time. Now since then, if you walk down the little lane, my tree's bigger, my tree's taller. I actually planted a few little plants in front of my place. And the other place, no one has planted anything. So my side looks luscious. It looks inviting. It looks like a home. And my side's protected. I have a water hose sitting out there, and I don't mind if the homeless come and use the water to drink or to wash themselves or whatever. But I just want to know. And one day I was walking to the convenience store, gas station, and there was a homeless guy, and I told him, as I was coming back out, I said, I got some food inside. I'll heat it up and bring it out to you. So I gave it to him. And then the next time I saw him, I think I was walking my dog or something, and I came back, and he was back there, back towards my place. And I said, don't go back there, because that's where I live. I don't want you back there. I wish I would have told him I didn't mind if he used the water or whatever, but I just didn't want, my place is totally safe. People listen to me when I tell them. I wish I would have told him about the water thing, but I just didn't want him anywhere near. If he said, oh, I was just getting a drink of water, or I was trying to wash up, then I probably would have said fine, but he didn't tell me that. I wish I would have said that. So my words are a little scrambled earlier. It's what I really meant in my heart, but at the moment it kind of startled me that he was back there. Like, was he back there to see what windows were open and that sort of thing? But mostly, my place is safe. My car, I usually keep the Bible in there, and I've been having it inside because I've been doing the readings and trying to talk a little bit about the scriptures and so forth. But God has blessed me in so many ways, and I'm not perfect. As you can tell, I kind of fumbled in my words and what I was trying to say, and I corrected it. So none of us here are perfect. All of us are striving for the peace in our life. All of us are striving to have a place that they can call home, that feels like home, where we can take a real rest and stop worrying about things going on in the world. And I'm going to be relocating soon, and I'm going to really miss seeing my grandparents' house, because, sometimes I see my grandpa up on the front door, and walking around. Sometimes I see my brothers Randy and Mike, and then the cemeteries where I go, which I feel the safest there. That's my safest spot. The most sacred spot is where my mom and dad and my grandma, grandpa, and my 3 sisters are, and my godmother. It's gonna be hard to leave that, but God has another place for me to go, where, I'm a truth seeker and a truth speaker, and I have my gifts that God wants me to make it available to people. My paintings, and I make jewelry too, and I want to start a printing little business, t-shirt printing business for my income. And God's provided all these things to me, being in the right place at the right time. So I'm just here to tell you that if you've been in a dark spot, the way out is seeking your heart, seeking God, asking Him, get me the hell out of here, and I'll be or do whatever you want me to. And I promise I won't backpedal this time. I promise I'll be steadfast in your grace, Lord, because that's the only safe place that I've ever known my whole life. And God will come through for you. It's God's promise that you have to ask, because God gives you free will to go in whatever direction you choose. So you got to choose wisely. So I say a prayer for those who are in the dark. Dear Lord, I've suffered through this, and it's so dark here, and all I see is a little shimmer of light, and I want my light to be brighter, Lord, as bright as the sun. Dear Lord, forgive me for my sins, and when I ask forgiveness for my sins, Lord, I know that part of it is promising myself and promising you, Lord, that I'll never do it again. I'll do my very best to never let it happen again, Lord. Just, Lord, please see that I'm struggling. See that my soul is being damaged. Help me, God, to regain my life the way you want it. I surrender all this for you, Lord. And I know if I'm doing real good and I'm steadily speaking good words of faith and hope and love, that you will provide for me. You will give me the abundance of my dreams. As long as I praise your name, Lord, and give all the thanks to you, dear God. My soul means more than any monetary thing in this world. Lord, thank you for loving me more than I loved you. Thank you for forgiving me. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for helping me change my life, Lord, in advance. Thank you, God. Without you, I am nothing. I love you, God. Thank you. Amen. Well, I hope this session about coming out of the dark and different obstacles you might face, I hope this session has helped you. And if you know of someone who could use to hear or watch this video, please share it. But please hit the like button for the algorithm of this channel, and hit the bell so you'll be notified. Subscribe so you'll be notified every time I post. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. Thank you, God, for this opportunity to be here today. Sending you all love and peace and harmony and joy and healing. God bless you. See you the next time.